Welcome to Level Up, the podcast, the show for who's looking for grow in life and business and beyond. I'm Hakim, your host, and today I'm having a very special guest that I've been looking forward to actually host. Virginie. Virginie is a really true force in travel. She's been in travel industry for quite some time. Also, the other side, TMC as well. So have the both words in her experience, which is really exciting. And today we're gonna deep dive into some trends, some topics about sales and business development and relationships. So let's take it from there. Virginie, how are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me. No, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
No, overall, yeah, very good mood today.
Let's start from the top. You've been in your career for really quite in sales and TMC for quite some time. Some really nice and amazing companies that you've been working for. And I want to ask you with a very simple question: what drew you to this world? What brought you to the hospitality? What made it so special?
Well, actually, yeah, it's kind of a funny anecdote, or I don't know, but yeah, a very much special anecdote. So when I was, I think I was around 17 or 18. I went into on holiday with my father and friends of mine, and we stopped on a highway to the station over there to just like grab some snacks. And I don't know, they gave me a ticket. On the ticket I had to scratch something, and then I actually scratched it and I won a trip to Club Med. Club Med
Oh,
is it's a very resort, very nice company. And that was for me, like, first of all, very much surprised, like, what is that? And I won that trip. So, and I went. It was the first time for me that I was that I was actually flying. It was the first time for me that I was going to such a resort. And actually over there, I got like the eyes is like, whoa, what is all of that? And I started to follow people. I want, like the geo, as they call him, like they
yeah.
call them the organizers of in the company, in the club. Basically, I started to follow them, to ask plenty of questions. I was super curious, and it basically kind of, like defined that, okay, this is, I want to work in that industry. I want to do that. It's very cool. And I've always been passionate about languages, like very early on as well. So I was like, yeah, this is it. I want that. And obviously I wanted to work for Club Med. That was a dream. Still, maybe it will happen one day. I don't know. But yeah, that was the anecdote, in a way that, made it, kind of defined the passion, and made it me go to that journey, and starting, and really like knowing also that I didn't necessarily want it to be in purely operations, but more in the sales and marketing side. That also I knew that quite early on. But yeah, that's thanks to that station, that's the
Yeah,
station highway.
it's always about. It's really nice to hear this because I have a similar experience, and it's really all about the experience, about your first experience with that world. It gives you, oh, there's something I really want to do. There's something I really want to discover, which actually nicely tied up with my second part of the question is you've been in TMC, but you've been also more in sales. So, was your first steps into the sales world, and why? Why sales?
It's true that from early on, I knew that I wanted to work in, more in sales, marketing, not necessarily in operation. My goal was not to be a GM. I knew that from early on. And so that's why I did a business school. And I first did a business school that was, not specialized in hospitality at all, but I did it in apprenticeship so that I could actually have experience in the hotel chain, or like I could
Mm.
mix it with apprenticeship, and be having my first experience for 2 years, within a hotel company or travel company. That was what I was searching. And I started off with a brand called Adagio, which is part of Accor, and Pierre et Vacances. It was kind of a joint venture here in France. And I was quite autonomous because I was actually working on the leisure side. After that, I got more of a business profile. But yeah, that was my experience very early on with the leisure. And I was the coordinator for the leisure sales director. We were only 2 people. And he was traveling a lot because he was going to all the fairs, like across the world. So
Yeah.
I was the like the person coordinating and doing everything, at the office, because he was always traveling, and also like all the connections he was, getting here and there when he was traveling, I had to activate them. So that's how it started. And yeah, that was the first step that I had that confirmed that I was really passionate about that role, because it gave me a lot of autonomy, and I could do a lot. So that even if I think it was a rhythm of 3 days at work and 2 days at school, something on those lines. But yeah, I got to learn a lot, and that confirmed that this is what I really like. And it was a mix between sales and marketing. I was doing a bit of both, because it was also leisure. You had to really like showcase a lot the brand, let's say.
Nice. This was like the moment that defined, like, okay, this is where I want to go.
Yeah, there are several moments. It's always a journey, because I also, in that job, I actually met two girls that were alumni of the MBA in hospitality that after that I did, because I met them, and they were doing that in apprenticeship as well. And I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool. So yeah, I can finish my more general business school and then specialize in hospitality after doing that MBA, like you did. Oh, and it's available in apprenticeship. Fantastic. So I want to do that. So it's also that job that made me met those two ladies, that after made me realize that I wanted to do and specialize in that MBA. And that's how I ended up also doing that MBA. So I think it's always a journey of, you meet different people, and they make you actually make decisions and, go along one route or the other. So that's also like, a very much of a small moment, like you just meet two girls that will speak to you about their journey of, that they've chosen and the MBA they're doing, and poof, next time you're just applying for that MBA.
Yes, exactly. Really nice. I think you also have really different also segments that inside the hospitality that you work for. So you work for lifestyle hotels, of course, M and Accor. So also very traditional hotels, TMC. I'm interested to see or to learn from your side. How did you see the travel industry evolving those years? Where we're going?
Oof, yeah, I think Well, we can notice a lot, whether it is in TMC actually or hotel industry, is I think it's the world of consolidation. We have a lot of consolidation happening on the TMC side a lot. If you think about it, like only like a few players are remaining. Once, like it's very difficult for small ones to survive. So they get acquired, and you have a lot of consolidation. So only a few players will remain in the market. And then you can see similar happening on the hotel industry, on the hotel industry side as well. Living it in the present, with citizenM being acquired by Marriott, for example. So overall, you see, and if I take also like my resume, I'm like, okay, well, Agencia got acquired. Now citizenM got acquired by Marriott. So you get that feeling that a lot of consolidation is happening. So you need to be a big player to get a voice, and some power towards other actors in the industry. Example, for hotels, it would be OTAs. You need to be able to have a big size to be able to well negotiate your conditions with those OTAs or your distribution players. If you are on the other side, more on the TMC side, to get big clients, sometimes you need to be bigger, because you need to have the stronger exposure everywhere. And be present in all the markets, so that you can attract those big players and have the technology, can invest in the biggest technology ever, so that you can convince them. So a lot of that consolidation is basically what is shaping the industry at the moment, I think. But I've been very much happy to actually be and lucky for me to have been part of actually outsiders. So I've joined those companies before they were acquired. Which is, I think it is. So like very nice journey, because I really liked more the early stages of the companies. It's always the part where actually it's very dynamic. You learn a lot, because you're in a growth mindset. And there is a more entrepreneurial aspect to what you are doing on a daily basis, I would say.
So true. It's so true. And what's happening also opens the eyes, on the lifestyle brand, on the personalizations, because I've been also in both worlds. Like I've been working with Marriott, with old traditional hotels, of course, and working with M, working with the lifestyle with W, and you see that there is so much focus into that direction because this is where travel is going anyway. Really,
Yeah.
the appetite of the traveler, they wanted more of a digital experience, high tech and personalized at the same time. Not really into the old. Yeah, it's still there is still people who love that still, but you can see when the big companies acquiring the smaller companies, the lifestyle companies, that say something because it is successful, it is growing,
Yeah.
and you want to take a piece of it as well, which is really interesting. But the both words together, I'm really interested to see how it will work.
Yeah, true. No, no. Yeah.
Really interesting. Thank you. I want to move a little bit to sales because I've been working with you in sales, and I loved working with you in sales. It was really nice part, and I want to also share some of the experiences and your knowledge as well here. You and I both worked in sales. We know that it's about target, it's about mindset, resilience, building relationship. And I want to ask you a very important question. How do you prepare mentally for your days, for your weeks? Because of course, we can end up in a sales job in any hotels or any industry. You will end up with a lot of tasks that you have to do. You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to go call. You have to make interview. Meetings, all that. How do you prepare your mind for this mentally?
Um, I think I kind of picture it in a similar way as a marathon. I think sometimes we do, not sometimes, but especially in the segments we were actually working on, or I've been also like working on a lot in my career. You have a lot of long sales cycles. So with that long sales cycles, you need to be, proactive, and you need to create, balancing, like your peak month with your slow month, and you need to basically see it as a marathon, as a preparation for it, because it's a long run. And you need to do activities way in advance to be able to be actually fully prepared and fully efficient when the sprint comes, basically the sprint of the end of the marathon, basically. So you kind of need to balance it out so that you have your plan actually across your, if it's a year, for example, so that you have activities spread out. And I think sometimes the mistake is, like, you kind of wait and see that you're not busy, you don't have, that you don't have much, so you kind of relax a bit, and then like you have the peak moment that
Yeah.
comes, and then the excitement of salespeople comes usually in that space, when you have that like busy period. But then you get also like not to achieve as much if you haven't prepared before, and if you haven't like laid out all your foundations before. So I think there's a lot of that, especially in the long sales cycles that we have. So it's all about the cadence that you need to pay to create yourself, so that you are able to have like a path that is actually more linear and not up and down.
Hmm.
And I think that's a bit that sometimes is tricky, because you have a lot of people that go through ups and downs, because
Yeah.
this can be a lot of ups and downs. And I think, to me, the trick is to be like linearing it, so that you don't go through the high. You always have the high when you win and everything, but then you don't go as low when the low comes.
Yes. Yes.
So
I love the example actually with the marathon because it's a journey. You have to run and you have to have also strategy behind it. Like you cannot run all the way in the beginning so fast and then you get tired.
yeah.
Really nice, which is absolutely correct. And I relate to this definitely, especially with the long cycles, as you mentioned, that sometimes you feel like, oh, there's nothing coming. I need to give up. I need to step out of the marathon. But it's all about this, definitely
and
strategy.
also and it's also about stepping, like really being able to step back, and not being about only there's a lot of incoming stuff, I need to jump and do everything. No, you need to step back, and like really, like in any job or anything, you need to just like step back. What are my priorities? what are my goals, what are, like, what is all of that that I have defined for myself, and then after that, how do I actually play it out across the year or the time frame that you choose. Because without those, you can indeed be more reactive and then just like doing what's coming to you, because they're in our world, you can get busy with anything.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, it's all about what do you want to achieve, what is your strategy and what are your actions that you will lay out so that you achieve what you want, instead, and be proactive about it with your plan lined up across the year, so that you're not actually putting yourself in a reactive position. So that's the trick to me, I think.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you have any habits or routines to help you, stay at your best sometimes?
Yeah, well, yeah, you've known that from me.
Yes.
I think something that have helped me a lot personally, is actually meditation. So for me, meditating every morning, I've been doing that for quite some years now. I think it helps you a lot with managing your emotions, and actually that stepping back, so being able to look at what's happening with a lot, stepping back from everything, from an emotional aspect, and being able to just be looking at yourself a bit in all situations. I think this is a habit that has brought me so much, on everything, on every level, also being a mother, that helps.
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree. And as you know, I also relate to that. And it's something that we normally forget, because we get busy into our days, starting up with the emails or meeting, and you end up also so late. Probably sometimes you have a late site visit or a late meeting, and then there's no time for yourself where you can just meditate and think about, okay, what I want to do, what I want to achieve. So I'm really happy you are bringing this up, because it's close to my heart, and it's something I think we forget about as well, and not only in sales but in life. But
And
people,
one thing as well, I can add, that is more practical and related to sales. I think when I started early on in my career, I was always reluctant to completing the CRM,
yeah,
adding my information, and all of this, which is like always the admin
yeah,
nightmare for salespeople sometimes. Well, actually, I think that today I really see it as an enabler, because it actually can facilitate your life, because as you have more and more, and also your life gets, like more extended with a lot of information, with a lot of things to do, actually for me, it facilitates my life, because that's a tool that works for me, because I don't have to have everything in
mm,
my head. So I think the CRM is actually something that is quite powerful, and enabling you if you use it properly. So I think that's something that across the year I've learned to more master, so that it works for me and helps me manage better the clients, the priorities, the deadlines, all of this, so that it comes to me directly with notifications of like, yeah, you need to do this, so it's not in my mind,
yes, you
because
just
your mind cannot hold everything. That's not possible. So I think there's also that it's a habit that you need to force yourself into sometimes, because that's not what you prefer as a salesperson. But I think at the end, you have to make it work, and it makes you more powerful.
yeah. Do you use like me, old school agenda, write down, or you use digital for notes? You do that as well?
No, now I'm of everything on more digital.
Oh, nice.
Everything on digital that works, and it's kind of connected, so that, for example, I'm on the street or I'm whatever, it's connected, it's multi-devices, so that I have something, I put it there, but it's also connected to my agenda, because it kind of helps me. But I do have more the paper, not for the to-do list, not for work, but more for thoughts,
Okay,
ideas,
nice.
like creative stuff that I will write. If I take a coffee, and I will have always in my, in my bag, I always have like a small thing to take notes, so that if I have an idea, if I have something and I don't want it to stay in the head, but really put it on paper. And also to journal a bit sometimes. I like to journal a bit sometimes, so that when I get too much in my head, to journal a bit, do a bit of journaling, put things on paper, just like without thinking, and it helps you also see a bit clearer.
Yeah. Do you use like one tool or a couple? Because sometimes I get, at least when I got experience, if I use one tool here and one tool here and one tool here, then I'll
Oh,
be
I
like,
try, yeah, no, yeah, I try not to use that. Yeah, no, I've been using mostly the Google Suite,
"Hmm,
for like notes, task,
nice,
a bit, yeah, the agenda obviously because it's linked to your email, so you can also like make it, yeah, the task link to it. So I usually good like use that Google Suite, but I've heard a lot of good things from Notion.
oh,
Um,
it is
so
also good
yeah,
tool, yeah,
so this is something that maybe I will explore. But I like the fact that it is actually the Google Suite is all in one. It's all in my phone because I have an iPhone as
yeah,
well. It kind of flows automatically. So yeah, on that aspect, yeah, I've been using that tool that is kind of easier from where I am sitting at the moment. Yeah.
nice. And how do you manage your time? Because also with your current responsibilities, and of course, before you have so much on your table, like there's so much responsibility, so many people to talk to, so many clients to talk to, and teams to lead and help and motivate and learn. How do you manage your time?
Well, you said, yeah, it goes back to setting up your priorities, and being able to see what you want to achieve, where, how many, if and also like have your focus. So for me, it's about that clarity so that you can, after that, I use a bit of the time blocking methods, for a week. So usually, if I know exactly what I want to achieve this week, if I have a big more project, let's say project priority for this week, then I will really like do the time blocking in my agenda so that this project has multiple space to be able to spend and block time for it. And then maybe that week you will have less of a priority on the team, but then that priority comes back after the week after, or the following week. So I think it's about setting, like big priorities for the year, but then after that, every week you have to kind of know what do you want to achieve, like for the week. Sometimes people do it for the day as well. I want to achieve, this task
Yeah,
today,
I did that.
like this big task today. um so yeah, I think it's all about clustering your agenda. So I like the time blocking, because it's really that you cluster your time and your moments in the week, in your agenda, so that you are not thinking, when you connect, you're not thinking about,
Yeah,
okay, let me see what I want to do today. No, you already have your time
yeah,
blocking. So you need a moment, maybe either on Sunday evening or Monday morning, when like, and you do that time blocking everywhere so that you know exactly how your agenda looks like and what you want to achieve this week and how you're going to achieve it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how
Kind
I,
of
yeah.
organize your mind first, with all these tests. They don't have to worry about it
and
somewhere.
then and then you can kill a bit your to-do list,
Yeah,
because like your to-do list is not necessary because you have already allocated your time everywhere in your agenda with like the times scheduled for each task in a way. So that way your to-do list is also like kind of ticked because you already have blocked the time to do it.
nice.
So yeah, and also like be in doing so, being careful, because you cannot, yeah, obviously you need some, yeah, times in between. You need to, you need to be able to breathe, and you need to be able to also like something like unexpected can always come. So you need to also kind of consider that and not be over realistic, over, like not realistic, over like positive and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to achieve all of this. No, you need to kind of, yeah, be realistic and also like prepare that some, maybe junk, maybe kind of put a threat to it because something in, like unexpected has come. So that's why you need to also prepare for that, and block time as well for that. Sometimes you need to block also like for unexpected things coming up. You need to block an hour for that. So yeah, that's actually an advice that I got from the CEO of Agencia one day, when he was saying that in his agenda he had always like 1 hour a day for shit.
Whatever. Yeah, just
Or
stop with anything.
coming
Exactly.
shit coming in, and that he cannot control. That's gonna happen, and he needs an hour dedicated to that per day.
It's true, especially in sales world, like you never know what comes in, call or
Yeah.
person want to see the hotel, whatever. So it's really nice you're adding this in your also organizations. And do you also add your personal activities like going to the gym or going to meditate, or you add it in the same platform, same calendar?
yeah, well, I have two calendars, the personal one and the professional one, but they are, like, it's just a tick of a button, and
Oh, yeah,
and then I see both. So I kind of, I mix always both. And indeed, my advice is that when you do that time blocking, you do it also for your personal activities,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that they are not, like, they are considered in the whole scheme, and they are not, if there is space, then I will do it. No, they need to be part of the scheme. So yeah, you need to consider them indeed, as part of your time blocking exercise. So it needs to be mixed between personal and professional. Yeah.
absolutely. Because I also believe in that. So if you're becoming professional organizer of time management in your personal life, and sorry, in your business life, and then you forget about your personal life,
Yeah,
it's not
that
that.
doesn't work. That doesn't work. No, exactly. Yeah.
Really nice. Any failure or challenges? Of course, we all failed. Like opportunity didn't win, or a client didn't agree, or whatever. Any failure that shaped up like your career or really help you achieve something?
um there's one that I will always remember. So there was one client when I was at Agencia, that, I inherited a portfolio, and that client, was very much silent. That I was trying to reach out. There was a lot of changes in contacts, and yeah, I was having difficulties to really be in conversations with them, be having a good meeting and everything. And suddenly we got, like, okay, they're launching an RFP. Okay, damn, an RFP. Okay, we are in, yeah, it's a bit of a danger because we might lose them. They might go to another agency. And we're invited to the RFP. We prepare the RFP very strong and everything. And we go there. It was actually, I think, 5 hours from Paris. So we go there, we go in person, and then we arrive, and it was like an army of people. Like, I think there were 4, like buyers, a travel manager, like a big, and it was just a session for them to just kill us. So they were for an hour basically, laying out everything that we did wrong, everything that they didn't like. So it was not an opportunity for an RFP. It was more an opportunity to be harsh on us, and express all their frustration. And I think it kind of was a learning curve for me, because that's not a nice moment. That's really not a nice moment. You don't want to leave moment like this in your career, because that's really harsh. You're listening, for an hour, how shit everything is, including, like the account management or everything, which was not necessarily 100% directed to me, because I had, recently inherited that portfolio. But still, it feels like you are, like, it feels like a failure. And I think the learning that I had from that was that, yeah, indeed, you need to build those relationships, because we were completely naive going in there, being 100% convinced with our pitch, with our, like, yeah, we're gonna go, it's the RFP, we're gonna win the RFP, we're gonna just like explain to them. And I think it made me realize that indeed, if you don't do the proper account management, you don't stay in touch with your clients, you don't hear their frustration, you don't talk to them, you don't have a cadence on a regular basis, then the gap becomes
Yeah.
so big that the frustration is like to the roof, and then they will make you pay for it. So I think that's the learning curve that I saw in reality with that example. That, yeah, the gap and it was so big that, yeah, they were, and we lost that client because it was too late. It was already too late. Everything that was, in their frustration and was too much for
Yeah.
it to recover. And you never want to be in that situation. You never want to be in that situation. You need to make sure that once, like, you hear a bit of frustration, or you sense a silence from your clients or everything, you need to act as quickly as possible, so that you don't end up in that
Yes.
situation that is dramatic, basically.
I, I definitely love this. And what comes to my mind, the marathon again. So your example with the marathon, because it's also like the marathon, especially with winning a client. And I think something about sales, that you think that you always gonna win, you're always gonna go, and they always open the doors for you. While in the real life is different, of course, because sometimes, especially if you go into a new account, they have already been using hotel or having a relationship for longer time. So it's that, transition that you are able to build to offer your services or offer your hotels. It takes time. It really takes time, as you mentioned, total account management, building relationships, and all this. I think we are all in sales experience with that, and it's really good that you took this as a learning path, because some people might our or the sales career is not easy because you get lots of decline. So if you get demotivated from something like this, of course it will not help you. But it's good to shape it up and change it to become a blessing. And this is how you grow in the sales. So thank you for sharing. Really, really interesting. I love the experience. Um, Travel, business travel, the travel
Oh.
industry. Oh my God, lots happened. I think we experienced also together when we were working in Cincinnati. When I was working that time with COVID, of course. I think the last 5 6 years, so many things happen in the industry. A lot of things are changing. A lot of new trends are coming, especially with the rise of AI and the rise of lifestyle hotels and acquiring the smaller company. All this really changing a lot. What trends should salespeople look after or be careful with or take as something that help them out?
um I think the fact that travel now is more experiential. Yeah, it's something that people want to live an experience. They don't want just to live, like just to
Yeah,
travel for the sake of traveling. They don't want to go somewhere. They want experiences. So they want something that actually, and you have various trends now, but will offer them either personal growth, cultural immersion, I don't know, or connection with other people. Like you will have that sense that people are looking for now when they travel. It's not just travel for the sake of travel.
it's true.
They are looking for an experience, for something a bit transformative. And I think that's something that, as a brand, you need to be looking out, and that's a trend that I think is here to stay, especially with the obviously the new generation coming in and the social media. Yeah, I do think this is the biggest trend that is here to stay.
Absolutely. I think this is where we're going. Even some maybe companies still resist to the
Yeah, no, yeah,
old, but this is definitely going to change across the time, and it is already happening. We're living it already, and
yeah.
it's definitely something to consider. Um, I wanted to. Do you see any shifts in the appetite of the traveler from the normal tradition kind of experience to the new? Do you see that shift happening, or we're still stuck there, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I think there is I think we mentioned it early on, but the personalization is something that, yeah, also plays a big part in it, and is something that new customer expects a lot from brand, from their travel. It's fun to me. It's the norm now, and yeah, and something that you have to adapt to as a company. Um, I think also, like, the aspect of uh, the response time.
Mhm.
Like, it is expected that the response time is fairly, 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 fairly quick. Otherwise, you lose them because there's so many other options. So you need to have a response time in general that is very, very almost instant. And that's where technology can help sometimes. But
Exactly. With
yeah,
all
I think
and
I
all.
I think yeah, with that, people switch so easily. It's a bit like people on Tinder. Like, you
Yeah,
switch so easily that you need to be reactive. Otherwise, they go to the next. So I think, yeah, personalization and that instant aspect, is something that I would say is part of the expectations from customers. Yeah.
yeah, that's so true. Anything? Two questions. Anything excite you about the evolve of the industry, and anything does not excite you?
Uh, for me, like, what excites me, and it's more personal, I think everything that is around wellness driven travel. So for me, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is also like a big trend on that side, that wellness is now really at the core, one core motivation for travel. That's why you have the emergence of anything that is related to a yoga retreat, meditation retreat, or you have even like retreats for people to be together on a, like on a personal growth journey, on, so it's not about a spa anymore.
No, it's not.
It's really around an experience around wellness.
Connection also you make during
Exactly.
this.
Yeah. And it's not a side offering like it was before. So you go to a hotel and then in that hotel you have a spa. No, it's it's really about, that's the purpose why I am traveling. So that's why I want to be either in nature. I will shape my travel and the accommodation I'm staying in and the experiences, activities that I will do around that wellness purpose. And I think that is very much a big trend that I see as a positive, because I personally 100% like it. I think also in sports, you see, my husband sees it a lot. You have a lot of retreats to be preparing for either a marathon or a triathlon, or so that people go together and then do a week of intense preparation and then you learn a lot about nutrition and how to. So I think the wellness from a big, scope is something that is quite exciting, or at least exciting me in the industry. And I think some brands starts to see it as an opportunity. So we're going to see a lot of surprises from that angle, I think. Not the threats, but things that I don't like. Sometimes is the pace at which things are going in our industry can be a bit too slow, and I think that is not necessarily, is a bit of a negative, to welcome new ideas, to embrace the change, and I think you also have like now big corporations, as we said, like there's a lot of consolidation, so to move and to change they're really slow, and I think that is a negative, because in today's world you need to be going very fast on everything. We know world is changing and adjust fairly quickly. So that is something that I see as sometimes a negative, and that's why I'm always eager to see new, like those new, and to work for those new players that are exciting and are creating something new in the industry, because they are more agile, they're more scalable, this is more exciting because they have the passion as well. Not saying that big players don't have the passion, but it's more
it's true.
It's very much strong and slower to move. That sometimes it's
already so fast. So
I mean, in our, even if you think about business travel, we've been hearing sometimes the same topics for quite some years, and you feel, okay, when is it actually, when are we moving on and going to the next? And I think that is a bit what I see as a threat that has a negative in our industry.
This is definitely true, and I think who will not kind of cope with that speed will be left out, because definitely the travel is really the industry is evolving so fast, especially with the AI coming in, and all of these technology, digital lifestyle, personalization, all that. And I agree with you. Some companies, of course, they still have the slow kind of pace of doing everything from the scratch, and it's definitely not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Nice, thank you, Virginie. I want to come to a really nice part, special to your heart, I think, and it's women in sales and leadership. I know you've been involved in a lot of different kind of entities, organizations, and also been speakers in many events. So what I want to ask you, you're an inspiring leader. I've been working with, of course, and I've been learning a lot from you. So what's your message to the woman that starting the career in hospitality and sales? What would be your message?
I think it's one thing that is important is that you need to be also proactive in building a network. I think that's something that sometimes you forget, but you need to build a strong network, and you need to search for either mentors, or maybe sometimes I would say that that's what we are missing sometimes in the hospitality industry, and that's why we've seen emerge a lot of podcasts, or associations towards that, of like role models. You need a bit role models because a lot of role models are masculine. So you need to have those role models to be able to see, see them as an example and learn from them. And I think that's why you need to be able to think about so your network and those mentor role models early on in your career, so that you really have something to look up to. I think that's one of the key elements you need to not to forget. And I think at your earliest time in your career, it is easy. Once you also have kids, it's also sometimes something that you put on the side because you don't have the time anymore. And we know that networking activities are taking, a lot of time in the evening, and you don't have your evenings, anymore. And during the day, sometimes you're working very hard and you don't have, a tiny space to be able to network within your company. Why? Because you need to leave, a bit earlier to pick up your kids or whatever. So I think that's really important to still actually free time for that. So find a way to free that time so that you are able to continue that all along your career, because that's actually essential to make you, I think, successful, and make you go along the way with different paths in your journey. One other thing is actually to dare to speak up. I think most of the time we also have that ability to have an idea but not speak up about it. Being in a meeting with with everyone, and not dare to speak up and say what you have to say. So that's something that is an advice I would always give. Don't be shy and speak up. And even if the room is full of men, you own both your expertise and your confidence, and then you speak up. Honestly, this is
Nice.
this is really advice that I would give to women in general.
Really, really nice. This is like how did you yourself navigate in this space, in this industry, by speaking up, not be afraid, because especially in our industry, there can be a lot of more senior roles are masculine or men, and it's really nice to see or to hear this advice. Of course, can encourage lots of females to go into that direction as well. So thank you for sharing. I want to go to the last part of the podcast. It's a quick questions and quick answers, and some tips and some advice. One book or a resource that changed your mindset that you can share with us.
Actually, it's a practical one that I read, I think, about 2 years ago on a train going to Amsterdam. I remember. And it's called The 25th Hour. And it's very much of a practical book, very easy to read because it's small.
Okay.
That I would recommend to everyone, because it's about time management in general, and I think it made me realize, that book, really, that time is my most valuable asset, and I can control it. So that's how that book made me feel at the end, and it also made me feel like I don't need more time, but I need to use the time that I have wisely. So and use it better, and I need to simplify, identify what matters, cut what doesn't, and being able to then protect my energy, because being a mother as well, you need to protect your energy, because if you don't protect your energy, you're not at your best. So that's really, that book helped me. It also shifted me from being reactive to being more intentional. So having that aspect of what am I, what are my intention, what are my priorities, what is it? So really, instead of having my days being ruled by emails, meetings, and other people's priorities, I was asking myself, okay, what is that essential task that I have today or this week? So it changed me. And then you have those, I don't know if the time blocking was coming from that book, but you have a lot of practical tips. So, and very easy and small to read. So I would recommend that one to anyone, so that it can change a bit your mindset about time and how to manage it.
I love protecting your energy. This this statement is so strong.
You know that actually I was speaking to one friend the other day, and she mentioned one thing that was super interesting. She said, like, before I was seeing, I was seeing I was actually taking lunch in front of my computer because I saw it as an opportunity to win time on doing tasks, while I was, eating, so that I was, managing my time in a way that was more efficient. And then she said, I stopped doing so, and I started doing walks or reading a book instead, and having a bit of a half an hour time when I was,
For
filling
yourself.
up my energy. She said that's been the best decision ever, because after that she realized that she became more creative. She became more, like more calm in her decision making, more clearer in how to prioritize, in how to work on projects. So yeah, I think sometimes we think that being busy and all over the place is the best way, because that's also what the society has told us for many years. But I think we've learned that, yeah, by stepping back is actually how you can more maximize your energy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm loving that. It's really nice advice. And this brings me to the second one, connect a little bit. A piece of advice that you always come back to it. Something that, always comes, you hear it in the morning, you hear when you are challenged with something, you remember this word.
uh I try to say, and sometimes it is hard because but I would say to be yourself. But sometimes it is hard because in some companies, let's say, you need to be playing alongside the game, and sometimes sacrifice a bit who you are. But I think being yourself, being, yeah, genuine about it, and yeah, is actually what I would say is important, because that's how you will be aligned in what you do. Um, yeah, I don't know, that's something that I think is, yeah, it's actually how you can reach your full potential. Because if you are not yourself, you will you can succeed, but you will probably have a crisis at the moment. You will not feel aligned, and you will not be authentic.
You're right. You can
So for
feel
me, yeah.
somebody else, so be yourself, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Be yourself. And there's a quote, I think, there's a quote that I heard in a podcast the other day that was, yeah, from, I don't remember. Yeah, it's a very well-known quote. So sorry about not,
Oh,
having
very.
it done, but yeah, it's be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
it's, yeah,
Absolutely.
like, yeah. So
Yeah, that's very powerful. What is your person? This is my last question. What's your personal definition of success? Can be one word.
yeah, yeah. One thing that I've learned that was not like this before, but I've learned to, yeah, and define now as success, is that I've learned to enjoy the process, like to enjoy the, where I am at, and not only look at the end goal, like the final destination,
Journey.
but being enjoying the process. Because sometimes I've been too much about the end goal, like the finalization of something, that I was too obsessed, and I was not enjoying the, like the along the way, the journey. And I think, yeah, that is super important, because otherwise you're always going from one goal to another, and you're always unsatisfied.
That's so
Um,
true.
so I think that's, yeah, one thing that I think is important, that and also like brings back to a bit the aspect of yeah, meditation and all of that. If learn to live the moment, to live the present,
Yeah,
because, yeah, not always being chasing for something else, but also like enjoying where you are at and the journey to get there.
absolutely. I'm loving this. It's a nice way to end up the podcast. Virginie, thank you for your time today, really, and your knowledge, your experience. I think this is exactly the mindset that I'm looking for that show. So thank you for being part of it. And for
Thank you
those,
for having me.
of
Yeah.
course, of course, it's a really pleasure. And for those who's listening, who's in sales or in business development or hospitality, whatever, take this and apply it to your day. And I think it's something that we all can learn from each other. So thank you. Until the next time, wish you
Yeah.
all the best, and we'll
Thank,
stay in touch.
Take care, Hakim.
Thank you, Virginie.